This video will provide a comprehensive breakdown of the close project or phase process with its key ITTOs, which is defined as defined by the PMI, including its ITTOs, administrative and contract closure, and formal criteria for closing the project or phase. Again, so when we were talking about closing a project or phase, closing a project or phase is a critical process that ensures all of the objectives have been met. The deliverables are accepted and outstanding work is resolved. PMI close project or phase process formalizes this transition by completing the financial, legal, and knowledge transfer activities. This step prevents loose ends and mitigate risks and provide a foundation for continuous improvement. To start looking at these key ITTOs when closing the project or phase. The ITTOs of project closure ensures that all of the required documentation, evaluation, and knowledge sharing activities are conducted systematically. Inputs like the accepted deliverables and the business document validate that the project has met its objectives. These tools, like the data analysis expert judgment, which help to assess the success, and while outputs such as the final reports and final deliverables and accepted deliverables, uh, the accepted deliverables were as per the inputs, and the final reports and lessons learned drive the future improvement. So to look again on these inputs, including the project charter, project management plan, we all know what is it. To project documents, the accepted deliverables where it's been signed and tested and let's say verified by the stakeholders, the business document, ensure the alignment with the project goals and let's say to ensure these deliverables aligns with the business document and agreements, the procurement documentation where you have let's say purchased a service or good from or by procuring it from an external vendor or supplier, so you need to have these as an input to ensure that you are reviewing it, closing all of these contracts and some of these OPAs that is within your organization. The tools and techniques here we have the expert judgment, the data analysis, and the meetings. And the output where we have talked here was the final product or service or result transition. Final report we already have discussed what is it exactly, but we are gonna emphasize the importance why it's important to have a final report as part of your final outputs of when closing, let's say transitioning from the monitoring and controlling to the closing phase. So again, these outputs includes the final project or phase, which is it includes the summary of achievements, the metrics, and the performance. The lessons learned register as also one of these outputs by documenting the insights for the future project. And the final product, service, or result of transition, it's like a handover to the operation or to the client. The OPA update by, let's say, the improvements that where the project has found where it can be implemented to the future frameworks within the organizations. The accepted deliverables here we have, it means as one of these key inputs. Accepted deliverables here, it means the verified and validated work products. The business document, again, we say that it's like the project charter and the business case to validate. When it comes to the administrative closure and versus the contract closure, so project closure involves two key components, which is administrative closure and contract closure. The administrative closure here ensures that all of the internal project work is finalized, implemented, and approved by the stakeholders. When it comes to contract closure, the other hand, like deals with the external vendors and suppliers, ensuring that all of the legal and financial and operational obligations are met before formally ending this contract. Remember that you need to have a proper execution of both of these closures types to prevent any future dispute and ensure the compliance. Some of these administrative closure processes is by, let's say, confirming all of the project work is completed as one of these processes to ensure the administrative closure is happening successfully. Also, one of these administrative closure processes is by documenting the performance risks and deviations. We also need to ensure that all of the stakeholders formally accept these deliverables as one of these key processes. Finally, you need to update these OP, the organization knowledge bases by having lessons learned meetings, by updating all of the lessons learned register. So these four key, let's say, processes can be considered as an administrative uh, administrative closure. When it comes to contract closure, there are some also several key processes involved, including validating the vendor and supplier obligations. Also, one of these processes where you need to ensure the payments, invoices, and claims are settled, complete. The third process here we have is to resolve any contractual dispute or issues before closing the project. And finally, here is the final contract closure process is by formally closing the agreements with the external parties. So these are the key processes in both of the administrative closure and contract closure, which you need to differentiate to apply both of them. When it comes to the required steps to complete the project deliverables, so deliverable completion is a structured process that ensures the project teams does not leave any unresolved work behind. This includes formal quality checks, sign offs from the stakeholders, and final documentation. And without a proper verification, project may face rework, dispute, or operational disruptions. The key steps here involve to ensure that you are completing the checking these project deliverables. First, you need to verify all of the deliverables against its acceptance criteria, which were defined during the project initiation and project planning. Next, you need to obtain a formal sign off from the clients and stakeholders. After you obtain the formal sign off, you need to conduct a final quality control review. After you conduct the final quality control review, you need to ensure that there is no outstanding defects or risks or any issues remains. Finally, you need to prepare a documentation for transitioning to operation or maintenance team. So these are the key steps that you might follow when, let's say, to ensure that all of the project deliverables are accepted by the, let's say, by the stakeholders or the operation team. It might be different from, let's say, project to project, depending on the, let's say, on the project nature, on the, let's say, the project scope or purpose, type of deliverables. So these are, let's say, an example of these steps that might you may follow to ensure that you are completing this project deliverables checker. And also the formal criteria for closing the project phase. It's very important criteria where each phase of the project must meet specific closure criteria before proceeding to the next phase or let's say a project. And this structured approach defined by the PMI ensures the accountability and completeness of each of these stages. Closing criteria validates all of the requirements are satisfied and all of the risks are addressed, and patient is uh, probably maintained. And the key closure criteria here you can consider is that all of the project or phase objectives are met. Also, one of these closure criteria are all of these stakeholders has formally accepted the outcomes, um, whether all of the documentation is finalized and archived, uh, is the knowledge transfer sessions has been completed and the training and to the operation or maintenance team or who else is gonna receive, let's say, the these deliverables. Is there any pending on open risks or issues or pending change requests are existing? So all of these criteria you need to ensure, asking yourself, checking all of these, let's say, criteria before proceeding with the project phase or closure, the project closure or project phase closures. The stakeholder roles in project closure, where we have already explained that such when we talked about each of these stakeholders play a crucial role in ensuring smooth project closure, and the project sponsor provide the final approvals. On the other hand, you have the project manager who coordinates to close these activities, and the operations teams to prepare the to take over the project outputs. By having a proper coordination among the stakeholder, ensure a successful transitions. We looked also about these common pitfalls in project closure, including the missing approvals, the poor documentation, to the incomplete contracts and unresolved issues. So, common project closure failure, including these issues where we have mentioned. So, these issues can lead to a legal and financial and operational risks. Proper closure process mitigate these risks and ensure the smoother, let's say, project closure and for the future projects. Tools and techniques we already or have already covered when for effective closure, including the checklists, the closure templates as per your organizational OPAs, stakeholder surveys, and the lessons learned meetings or workshops. So, using these structured tools like the checklists and the lessons learned workshops ensures that the closure activities are comprehensive and effective. PMI recommend leveraging these standardized templates to document also these final project outcomes and lessons learned. The benefits of having a proper project closure, again, proper project closure provides long term benefits by improving the stakeholder trust, reducing the operational risks, and ensuring the lessons are applied in the future project. So, again, it reduces the project. It reduces the post-project dispute and risks. It enhances the stakeholder satisfaction and trust, and it improves the future project success through lessons learned. Finally, it ensures the compliance with the contractual and legal obligations. And to summarize our session here, we talked about the ITTOs involved when closing a project or phase, ensure that the work is formally completed. Uh, we looked about on the importance of having stakeholder involved and engagement to in the closure process to ensure their satisfaction. We also looked at the proper documentation and knowledge transfer to improve project, future project.